What's going on with all these freaking poop hoses? Find out now. So this is a video we've been wanting to do for a while because it was a topic that confused the hell out of me.
And I remember you searching online, searching on YouTube to try to find some tutorials on how the systems work.
Yeah, we're talking about our water systems. And it was very confusing when you're trying to study and stuff online. There's talk of black tanks and gray tanks, and I got that, that's pretty simple. But when we were looking at these, what the hell's going on with all these handles and tanks and stuff and two hoses? And you're going to find that when you're looking at RVs and looking at their tanks, they're not all the same, they're all quite different, and ours is probably one of the most complex. What we want to go over with you today is the whole water life cycle.
Right, and we're also going to share some tips that we've learned along the way.
By water life cycle, we mean water in, water use, water and extra
Other
stuff out.
Stuff. It's a crappy topic.
Yeah.
If you're new to our channel, I'm Tara.
I'm Chad.
That's Chad. And we live full-time in our RV, and we travel the country, and we share our journeys and some tips and tricks along the way. And we go on some pretty cool motorcycle rides too.
We do.
And we know this is another one of our long videos, but we don't want to miss anything, and we want to share everything that we've learned with you guys. Like the other videos in the past, we've put some time indexes in there for you.
That's right. Look down below if you want to skip forward to a section, which we don't recommend. If you want to watch the whole thing, that's also acceptable.
Preferred.
Yes, preferred. We have 4 tanks, 2 gray, 2 black, 4 release handles, and 2 dump holes. Shut your dump hole. Ours was very complex. I didn't get it, and all of the dealers, even though they're very knowledgeable about RVs, there's so many different kinds they can't be knowledgeable on.
How could they possibly know the ins and outs of every single RV in their water management system?
So ours has lots of little levers and things. We're going to go over all those on our system. If you're looking at other systems, it's going to be somewhere between the very simple and ours. I haven't seen any that are more complex than 4 tanks and 4 things and 2 hoses.
They might be out there.
In addition to there being different types, a different spectrum of complexity of RVs, there's a spectrum in the complexity or type of camping. And the type of camping you're doing will determine how you use your water.
Yeah, so are you boondocking? Do you have partial hookups like at state parks where maybe you have water and electric but no sewer? Or do you have full hookups like we have right here?
Right. Everything falls somewhere between the very, very full hookup area where you've got water supply, you've got 50 amp, and you've got sewer that you can use.
Yeah.
And the other end where you're hooked up to nothing, that's called boondocking, and you've got to bring your own water with you, you've got to carry your own water out, and supply your own electricity and stuff. And we're going to have another video on power management, so stay tuned for that, but this is going to be all about agua, H2O, water.
And other stuff. A lot of state parks only offer the water hookup and electric, and sometimes it's only 30 amps, sometimes it's 50, but oftentimes you won't have a sewer connection.
Right. In that particular situation, you're not concerned about your water source anymore. You don't have to worry about how much water you have in your tanks, but you do have to be concerned about your waste tanks, your gray and your black tanks. Probably even more so than boondocking. When you're boondocking, you've got a limited source of water to go into the tanks. When you're hooked up to partial hookups, you have an unlimited supply of water, but a limited supply of tanks. So you've got to kind of keep an eye on them.
There's another option with partial hookups that we ran into that was a surprise to us.
Oh yeah.
But a park could be listed as full hookups, but not have a sewer connection, however offer a honey wagon service.
Yeah, it's called honey wagon, and we don't know why. The flow of this video, like what I did there, it's going to be, we're going to talk about water in, how you get water into your RV, and then we're going to talk about water use, some tips along those lines. I mean, I think the water use is probably pretty obvious, but we're also going to talk about where that water goes, and then we're going to talk about water
getting it out.
Right, so we're going to follow the whole life cycle.
Is it whiteboard time?
It's whiteboard time to talk about our water in and our water tanks.
If you guys have seen any of our how-to videos, you know that we like to use the whiteboard.
I do like whiteboards.
Yeah.
So as you can see, I've already drawn some of it out. This is our Nautilus system. pretty complex. We're not going to go over all of the details of what every little switch does.
But you should see this thing from behind.
Yeah.
We saw it at our factory tour at Grand Design. It is very complex.
Yeah, and I've been in our RV, and it's a mess of hoses, but it's nice because it lets you just turn a couple dials, follow a pattern on the thing, and set it up. One of the settings is filling fresh tanks. We have a 100-gallon and a 50-gallon fresh tank, which makes 150 gallons if you're not really good at math. And they're interconnected, but we do have two separate fill lines. We have one fill line that fills the main tank, and we have another fill line that fills the auxiliary tank. However, since they're connected here in the middle, you can just fill the one tank, let it bleed, and just kind of let it fill slowly. Also, each of these tanks have their own overflow. So if you start to fill, it does take quite a while to fill 100 gallons, especially when it's slowly bleeding over to here. As you fill it, if it gets too full, it'll go out a drain here on the bottom. No big deal. Stop filling, let it go back in. This also has one, and they also both have their own dump valves. Why do you want to dump your fresh water? Because maybe it's been in there a while and it's not so fresh anymore.
We've had that.
Every now and then, if you're going to be boondocking for a while, you're going to want to dump all your fresh water, get new fresh water in. Obviously, be careful where you dump your fresh water. A lot of places don't like seeing water substances coming out of the bottom of RVs and RV parks because they don't know what it is.
Yeah, so we like to dump our fresh water when we have full hookups.
Yeah, you also can, if you don't want to dump, you can just turn your sink on and dump them out that way. We use the tanks only if we're going to be boondocking, which could be full-on camp boondocking, or it could also be just an overnight stay. We also use our tanks at rest areas because we're not hooked up, we're in a rest area, but we want to use our own bathroom.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
So you know, part of our departure checklist is to make sure I have enough water in the fresh tanks for whatever it is we're going to be doing.
Right.
If it's just a travel day, I keep like 30 gallons in there. When we're on full hookups, like we are now, these don't really even come into play. The water system will come straight in and go straight through and out to your sinks, and you know that's the simplest way. You're just connected to the water source at the RV park. In addition to this system, obviously if you're connected to shore water, then you're going to get your pressure from that source. If you're pumping out of these, there is a pump here. It's not really like right there, but there's a pump that pulls water out of your fresh tanks and pumps it to your system.
Right, you got to make sure that's turned on.
You may have noticed we had to shift here. The sun actually came out. It's amazing. So let's talk a little bit about water use. It's pretty straightforward topic.
Yeah, like we mentioned before, it's going to depend on the type of camping that you're doing.
Yeah, how you use the water doesn't change as far as turning the faucets off and on, but how much water you use is obviously going to be a big factor.
Of course, yeah.
So a couple of quick tips. Obviously, when you're boondocking, or even when you're doing the midway in between dry camping where you don't have sewer, you want to limit your water use. I mean, it's really straightforward. So a couple of tips around that. One is dishes.
Yeah, so we learned early on that just putting a plastic tub in the sink and washing your dishes in there helps, because then you don't have to dump it down the drain.
Right.
We learned recently from our friends Phil and Stacy, I don't know why it didn't register in our minds, but to then you can dump that bucket of dirty dishwater down the toilet.
That's right. And when we talk about our tanks, you'll see that we've got 2 bathrooms and 2 black tanks, and we rarely use the rear one, so it makes great sense, instead of having that go into our gray tank, dump it into the rear black tank.
Well, because a lot of parks and places that you're at don't want you to dump dishwater out on the ground.
Yeah,
sometimes it's okay. I think here would be fine.
Yeah, some places have explicit rules against that.
Yeah.
Especially the state parks, things like that. Obviously, the simplest thing to do when you're wanting to preserve water is just turn the freaking water off when you're not using it. When you brush your teeth, on and off, to rinse, off, you know.
Right.
Pretty straightforward.
Yes.
Also, Navy showers.
They're no fun.
No, they're not. I was in the Navy. I hated Navy showers.
I'm gonna take a shower.
If you're not familiar with what we're talking about, it's basically you turn the water on, you get wet, you turn the water off, you do your washing, you turn the water back on, rinse off, that's it.
Yeah, and your stock shower head for your RV is going to have an on-off switch. Maybe it might be down at the base. Somewhere on there's going to be an on-off switch where you can shut the water off without adjusting your hot and cold. So you can obviously vary how much water you use. When we were boondocking for 12 days in Utah recently, we took very, very quick Navy showers.
It's kind of hard for me because I have a lot of hair So that takes a lot more water to be able to rinse it out. A lot of you will say just use the facilities at the campground. We just prefer not to do that.
Yeah,
So.
that's like bathrooms at rest stops, and we prefer to use our facilities for our personal hygiene.
Right.
Because that's why we bought this big freaking thing.
So I'll just wear a lot of hats.
If you're fully boondocking and you're using your tanks, you got to be even more frugal with your water.
Right.
Because it's not just about where you're storing the wastewater, it's about how much water you have to use, period.
You want to make sure you have enough water in your fresh tanks to get through the amount of time that you're boondocking. So what we did is we bought several gallons of drinking water to use to drink, and then that way we weren't using the stuff that we would need maybe for washing dishes or brushing our teeth and that kind of stuff. So that saved on the fresh water.
Yep. Definitely water management in an RV is so different than you're used to. If you're coming from a home and you haven't RV'd before, you really have to figure out what goes in, what goes out, that kind of stuff. Another thing we didn't know about RVing and RV toilets is the shape of an RV toilet bowl is different and the water flow is different. Since there's not a force of water being flushed in from the top as much as there is in a sticks and bricks toilet, it's designed much more this way versus this way. The end result is that things that you flush down the toilet bump the sides of the toilet.
And another thing, if you have a washer and dryer in your unit like we do, you're not going to be able to use that when you're boondocking, dry camping, or in partial hookups where you don't have a sewer connection.
And again, it's all about planning and management. If you're only boondocking for 3 days and you've got a full tank of fresh water, maybe you can do a couple loads of laundry, but just know what you've got and know what you use. And speaking of that, we did some experiments.
Yes.
Because we were like, well, how much do you use in a shower? How much does laundry use? Well, let's go through those numbers.
Right. And these numbers are for, of course, for our rig, so.
Yeah, it's going to probably be close for most, especially when you're talking about laundry.
Yeah, and we wanted to find out exactly how much water we used with different things like washing a load of laundry or taking a shower.
Information is your friend. So basically we determined that a 30-minute load of laundry took 7.9, we'll just call it 8 gallons. A 1 hour load of laundry took 9.6 gallons. Not a lot more water use. I think it just washes it longer.
Yeah.
Maybe probably the rinse cycle's longer.
But it's good to know.
Yeah.
2 gallons, that's drinking water.
Yeah, exactly.
For showers, if I'm going to shower and wash my hair, that takes about 11.8, let's say almost 12 gallons of water.
When my shower was actually about the same. When I've got the resources available, I like long showers.
And we also found out how much water we use in a Navy shower, which was how much?
About 3 gallons. So big savings on the Navy shower when the water is just not running. We cut it down by about a quarter.
Taking those miserable, not fun Navy showers actually really does save a lot of water.
Yeah.
I put our little space heater in there when I'm doing that because when you're turning on and off the water, you get really cold.
I'm fine.
Just trying to help you out.
One thing that was confusing to us about water usage when we first got our RV was what goes into what tanks.
Yeah, it was confusing, and it took us quite a while to figure it out.
Yeah, we had to do some experiments, but we figured it out.
Is it whiteboard time?
It's whiteboard time.
Sweet. Do you want me to hold it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peek over the top. So let's take a look here at what feeds what, and then we'll go from there down and out. Washer and dryer drain into gray 1. Toilet goes to the black tank, obviously. Sink in the bathroom goes to gray 1. Sink in the kitchen goes to gray 2. The toilet in the back bath obviously goes to the black tank. The shower goes to the gray tank. And this was the one that fooled us. The sink in the back does not go to the gray tank like you might think. It goes to the black tank. Probably because it's all right there and convenient and stuff.
Trickery.
But let's talk about the tanks. This is the part that was really confusing. So let's kind of just go through here. Obviously you can see we've got 4 tanks, not just 2. 2 black, 2 gray. Each of them are 54 gallons, so we've got quite a bit of tank capacity. When I pull the handles down in by the Nautilus system, which we're going to show you, those are valves right in here. Got this RV pulling in right here.
Are they really pulling in here? Let's take it inside, people.
Let's take it inside.
It's just too noisy out here.
So the only way to know what feeds what is to basically empty all your tanks, turn a water source on, let it run for a while until you see something on the gauge. Do this before you've used your RV for a while, because after you use your RV for about 2 months, the tank gauges just don't work right.
They're just not good, guys.
Yeah. First off, they only measure in thirds, and second of all, they're completely useless once you've used them a while. Also, since the gauges only read in thirds, you have to think about this when you're using them. We mentioned that the tanks gauges are kind of useless. That's true except for the fresh tank and gray one, because the fresh tank only has fresh water in it, not much there to muck up your sensors.
Yeah, if your sensors are all mucked up, then your fresh water has an issue.
Yeah, and the gray one is really just shower water, so there's not much there either. The sink for gray 2 has, food particles and stuff in it.
Even though we have a little mesh cover for the drain, stuff still gets down in there.
These tanks don't work after a while, but you want to think about the third thing.
The tanks work, the gauges don't work.
That's true. So you want to think about that too when you're looking, particularly like your fresh water, right? When it's full, it's going to say 100%. As soon as you use a gallon, it's going to say 66.
Yeah.
But it's not really 66. It's somewhere between 66 and 100. Yeah.
Yeah, I think over time you just kind of learn
Yeah, you get used to
your
it.
habits and what your tank indications mean.
Yeah.
But
Particularly on the tanks filling up, the black tank, stuff like that. We see online all the time, how do you know when to dump the black tank? Well, when the black tank burps, and we'll show you what that is.
Yep.
That's really when you need to do it.
Really when your toilet burps.
Yeah, when the toilet burps, that means that the air is not escaping and that the air is having to come up through the bowl versus going through the vent, which means it's full.
You'll
Time to dump
probably
it.
smell it too.
Another little note about your tanks, particularly your black tanks, is you want to treat them. Whenever we dump the tanks before we leave, we always treat them. A couple of big points in treating your tanks. A, we love Happy Camper.
Yes.
Works great. We've tried others. None of them really seem to cut down the smell and stuff. For Happy Camper, we never have any
Yeah,
smells.
never have an issue.
The other thing is use plenty of water. Water is your friend in the black tank. You'll sometimes see somebody online who thought it was a good idea to leave their black tank open. Why not, right? You'll never have to empty it. It just goes all out by itself.
It doesn't happen that way.
You'll end up with what's called a poo pyramid. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. It's a pyramid made out of poop. That's...
You don't have enough water in the tanks to keep it from not piling up.
Pile.
I mean, guys, we got to talk about this topic.
Yeah, we're sorry, but it is what it is. Keep plenty of water. When you treat your tanks, we like to put in 3 gallons. I know that when I fill the bowl all the way to the top, it's a gallon. I know that because I took a gallon jug, poured it in, and that's where it was.
We've done a lot of testing.
Science.
Yeah.
Also, use plenty of water with each bowl.
With each usage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Water is your friend in the black tank. Get
Just
plenty
use a lot
it
of
in.
water in the toilets.
Yes.
Is what we're trying to say.
Yeah.
Without getting too graphic.
Another tip and something that's different with a RV toilet versus a standard toilet is there's a seal down there, right? And basically the way that thing works is you've got your hole and then the seal closes it up like that. Well, that black rubber seal can get dried out and you'll see that when you go in to use the bathroom, there's no water in there. It's
Yeah.
bad. That means your seal's getting dried out and it's either leaking, it's not closing all the way.
Yeah.
So you'll want to get some plumber's grease and grease that.
It's one of his favorite things to do.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah. Do not use like petroleum jelly or Vaseline.
No.
Petroleum products on rubber are bad. They
Yeah.
will make it worse.
And you want to use some gloves.
Yeah.
I don't think I need to tell you that, but
Yeah.
it's better for you that way.
So another tip that I figured out, I invented this. Don't let anybody else tell you they invented it first. Now really, I came up with this idea, but I'm sure somebody else has already said this. So you'll notice here in the diagram that gray 1 and gray 2, they're 54 gallons each. And this guy, because of the shower and bathroom usage, tends to fill up first. So when we're boondocking, what we did is we got some Valterra valves, which are a good idea even if this trick doesn't work for you. And you put a valve here, and you put a valve here. This has 2 benefits. One is that when you go to set up camp and you unhook the cap here, you'll almost always get some gray water, we hope it's gray water, running out because it kind of settled while you were driving. Stuff that was in your pipes here settles down and then dumps out. So if you put one of those Valterra valves here and keep it closed, you can hook everything up and then open it up when you're ready. The other benefit, and leads into this tip is what we'll do when we're boondocking is we make sure this is closed, and then we open both of these, and what happens is they bleed over, fill this system up down here, and essentially balance each other out. So what we end up with is one giant 108-gallon gray tank plus whatever's in the pipes. We get quite a bit of extra usage for our showers and stuff. We can actually, by means of this bypass, have shower water go into here. Since we're taking our dishwater and we're dumping it in here, we have lots of capacity there. Oh, and I'm showing here that this water just fills up down here. Probably even maybe goes up to here, but do not open your black tank.
Nope.
Just your gray tanks. You don't want to balance all three tanks and have poop water going into your other tanks.
No.
Bad idea.
Yeah.
Keep this one closed, open these two, let this system fill up with water, and they'll balance out.
Worked out really well for us this last boondocking adventure, so.
Yeah. The other piece to this puzzle that I didn't show is the fresh water in here has a switch to do a flush of this black tank, and then this guy has its own flush over here, and we're going to show you guys that outside right now.
All right, let's go outside.
Daisy,
no.
We're going outside?
Now we're going to walk you through how we set up for full hookups.
Yeah. A couple of notes about this is we don't always hook up both poop hoses. We don't always use the back bathroom, so if we're only going to be somewhere for like a week, we just kind of refrain from using the rear bathroom, and I don't hook that one up. It's just easier. But we're going to show you guys the full Monty.
That's right. 2 stinky slinkies. First thing, he's got to put on gloves.
Nope.
Second thing?
So first I set up the little guides. You want to try to always make sure that the sewer connection is downhill gravity-wise from your exits. And you want to have some sort of ramping system to kind of get your hose from high to low in a graceful manner. So I put those out first.
Yeah.
So these are called Sidewinders by Chemco. We've got one longer one shorter one, because there's usually a difference in length between the two hoses. And I've got a little trick that I've come up with. I know for a fact that I made this one up.
Okay.
So.
Nobody else in the world has ever done it.
No.
Ever.
Get about midway, and then. Look at that, I nailed it. This one's pretty close. In fact, it's a little bit too close to go direct. So I'm gonna do a little bit of like that. Boom.
Okay.
Additionally, when we set up using the Y connection, I try to plan it out so that they come in like this versus like this, so I can put the Y connection in. You'll see that in just a minute. Now it's time for gloves. So this is the stinky box. You always want to have all your stinky stuff in a separate little stinky box that you can seal up. Nothing gets in there. You'll notice that I keep it all sealed up except for the base of my gloves here, so I can take these out. And that way I can touch all the dirty stuff without worrying about it. So first I get all the connections I'm gonna need out. Gonna need the Y, gonna need the 90, a couple of clear elbows. Now, depending on the type of connection you'll have, you'll wanna have one of these donuts. Every now and then you get a connection that you just doesn't screw in, doesn't quite seal, and you'll want one of these to basically, it goes on here, and you can put that in and get a nice good seal on it. We don't need it here, so not using it. Also, I keep an extra Valterra valve, and you can see how this works. I keep an extra one just in case I have one break.
Don't let it flick at me, okay?
One of the decisions you'll be faced with when you start RVing is the type of poop hose to get. I did a lot of research on this, and I came to the conclusion that I really liked the Rhino hoses. They have a nice accordion, so you can hook them up short or long. We see a lot of people with the kind that don't accordion, and they have to like snake it around to sometimes get to a shorter distance. Additionally, you're gonna see different types of connections. These are the most common, these quarter little quick fasten. And when I was first researching, I really thought I wanted to get the kind with a cam lock. The only problem with the cam lock kind is you've got to replace the connections everywhere, And every now and then you're going to want to use a honey wagon, so then you got to use an adapter. And while a cam lock is certainly a more secure connection, we've never had these leak. They're fine, they're really good. And the Rhino hoses are great, they've been holding up great, and all the accessories and connections are really good too, so we're pretty happy with it. Also, you'll notice that I don't take the cover off of the sewer until I've got everything ready. You don't want to start hooking that up and then you have sewer gases just sort of coming out the whole time you're setting up. Keep the business end of this closed until you're ready to use it. This Valterra valve, this is why, the main reason we have these, is I know that I can open this up and nothing's going to come out of here because this valve's closed right here. Also, you'll want to remember a little bit of RV park courtesy. A lot of times your business side of your rig faces the party side of the rig of your neighbor. So you don't want to be running your hose out and around. Just try to keep everything over on your side. And get a good seal here so your neighbors don't have to smell it.
Yeah, because we've smelled some stuff.
Some stuff. Now in this particular location, the threads aren't going in, but it's got a decent seal there, and they've actually got rocks. So that's it, the hoses are hooked up. Take the gloves off. Hand sanitizer before I go touching anything. And then I will open our main gray tank. Now with that main gray tank 1 open, we're all set for full hookup showers. We can shower as long as we want. It's just gonna drain right out.
You've got to turn on the water.
Oh yeah. So let's talk a little bit about fresh water and those systems, and that all happens. I hit it? I hit it. It all happens right here.
Nautilus system.
Yeah, let's take a look. So hooking up the water hose is straightforward. If you ever used a hose in your life, it's not that hard. What I like to do is hook it all up, keep this closed but not connect it, turn on the water source, and then I can do this. And that way I get all the air out of the hose before I hook it up, and I'm not going to shove air into our system. Another tip is you don't want to just throw this valve open. Even though we've regulated the pressure, pressure can be higher than the normal pressure if you let it all out at once. It's called a water hammer. So you want to push this down gradually. You'll hear the water start to flow, and then once you stop hearing the water flow, means that it's pressurized, then you can open it all the way up. This thing is really cool because all you have to do is follow the little colored patterns. And I'm going to explain a little bit about the different modes here, but today we're just going to talk about fresh water. So let's take a look. So as you can see, we've got 5 little dials here, and you just follow the patterns. So winterize, we never do because we just go south in the winter. That basically lets you flush a winterized solution into your system so it doesn't freeze. Sanitize is very similar, but it's going to go through all of your systems so that you can sanitize. We'll be doing a separate video on that. The ones we're going to be looking at are these 3: city water, dry camping, and power fill. You'll notice right now, right down right, up up, right down right, up up, we're set for city water. So this right here runs straight from the city water straight into the system. So that runs our sinks and our showers and our toilets, all of our water sources. For filling our tanks, it's real simple. I put everything like this. Boom. Oops, I don't want to turn that on. And boom. Also, we always keep a 90 here with a shutoff. That has 2 real good functions. A, it allows us to shut off our water really easily when we go out for the day. It's a real good practice to just shut your water off since it's so easy. It's one little switch. Just in case something leaks while you're gone, it has no water pressure to cause a problem. It also is very handy when you're doing flushing or filling your tanks to be able to control everything right here and not have to go, way over to your spigot. In power fill mode, this basically goes and fills our tanks. So right now it's filling our main tank. I don't want to do that because we've got plenty of water in there. This is the auxiliary water fill, which will directly fill the auxiliary tank. And like I showed you in the diagram, you can really just fill the one, it fills both. But if you want to power fill both of them, if you've maybe got two hoses and you want to power fill both of them at the same time, you can do that. For dry camping, we just, again, follow the diagram. Boom, 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 right, down, down, up, up. And in this mode, this doesn't go anywhere, but our sinks and stuff inside will draw from our tanks when we have it in dry camping mode. Makes sense, right? When you're in dry camping mode, since there's no water pressure, you have to be able to use your pump. Two places you can turn on the pump, right here, and also on the LCI 1 control inside. The reason you've got it in both places is because when you're out here and you want to turn the pump on and off, or maybe sanitizing, stuff like that, then you want to be able to control it out here and not have to go inside and outside, that kind of thing. So all that's pretty straightforward. You're filling one tank, you're filling another tank, or you're bypassing the tanks with fresh water. Now let's work our way backwards from our freshwater input to our freshwater source. One thing you'll see here is we have a water meter. Why do we have that? Just because it's good information. When I'm filling the tanks, I want to see how much has gone in, particularly if we're just filling for a travel day and I only want like 20 or 30 gallons, I can know how much goes in. So let's talk about the hose. You want to make sure that you're using a potable water hose. You don't want just any garden water hose because those can leach chemicals into your drinking water. We like the 0G hose because it's very flexible. Our very first hose was the really stiff white one, and those are just a pain. They're hard to roll up, they're hard to deal with, they're just stiff. 0G makes a great hose. We've been using it for 1.5 years. We're on our second run. Since I know we'll probably get asked about it, our cable and hose management system in here is really simple. It's just a little thing like this that you loop through itself, hook that end on the hose. You use a little carabiner, and I put some D-rings up there to clip them on. Just kind of keeps things neat and organized and out of the way. Water source, a couple of things you're going to want here. One is very important, and that is this guy right here. This is a pressure regulator, and it's adjustable. So we used to have one of the fixed ones on there that was not adjustable, and it did not seem to get to the pressure that it was rated for. So this lets you actually adjust it up and down. If you look, you can see we're just a little bit over 50 PSI here, and I keep that pretty much there. This, very simple, just a splitter. In this particular campground, you can see we have 2 hose bibs, but that's not very common. So we always have a splitter on here so that I have an extra connection to flush the black tanks, wash the rig, whatever it is we want to do. Let's talk a little bit about the water pump. A couple little notes to say about that. First off, it is an automatic pump, meaning that it shuts itself on and off based on the water pressure. Sometimes that needs to be adjusted, and it's on a little screw on the pump itself. So that's usually up in the belly of the beast. I can't show you because it's inside there, but what that does is vary the pressure at which the pump turns on. Sometimes it's too low or too high. If it's too low, you'll know because when you turn on your water, it takes forever for the pump to turn on. Like the water has to drain and then the pump kicks on. If the water pressure is too high, then you'll notice that the pump turns off late. You'll be pumping water, you'll be running the water, you'll shut it off, and you'll hear the pump just run, and then shut off. So you want to find that happy medium in there where it doesn't take too long for the pump to come on and doesn't turn off too late, and that can be adjusted. We found that even has to be adjusted periodically. I don't know if it just shakes loose or what, but we've had to adjust ours maybe 2 or 3 times in the 1.5 years that we've been full timing. Another note about the pump is it is self-priming, meaning it's supposed to be able to pull in from an air source into a tank and be able to pull water out of the tank. Ours doesn't work very well. I've got an upgrade to our pump that I'll be putting in, and we'll do a separate video or blog post on that. But a little trick is if you want to manually prime the pump, you can pretty much just pump the water in right here. Now, that can basically force feed some water into your pump, but what if you don't have a water source? You're dry camping. There's a solution for that. It's this guy. You'll notice it's got a standard hose bib connection on the end here, but you basically connect this here, you can put this into a bucket, and then you can pump the water in from a bucket. Another quick tip, this guy right here, if you're out here and you use those, be sure to close them. Even if you have the hose disconnected, if those valves are open, you will have a situation where your water will not be hot. you'll get this lukewarm water and you'll be like, what's going on? My water heater's broken. It's not. There's a bleed over there, and the way the water routes, it does something to the hot water where it sends the hot water off somewhere else. I don't know what it does with it, but
That's happened to us before.
yeah. We've had several times where we're like, what's going on? And by the third or fourth time, it's like, okay, yeah.
Now we're gonna break it all down for you.
If you saw our camp setup and breakdown in video, you've seen a lot of this already. We're not going to go into a lot of detail about how to flush the black tank. I'll give you a couple of tips. Let's just get to it.
Let's do it.
Dumping the black tanks and the gray tanks. First off, you want to always dump your black tank first. The reason for that is you want to get that done and out of the way, and then you want to use your gray water to flush your hoses out so they're not, you know.
Yeah.
Like I showed you in our diagram, down in here I have 3 handles. Ignore the colors because they're wrong, but the labels are right. So we have our black one right here, gray one, and gray 2. These are the 2 that I would pull to do that equalization, and of course locking down the Valterra, which we'll show you. A little thing I like to do is every time I use these, I shoot some silicone spray up in here so it keeps them nice and lubed. So right here, I will pull it and then spray and then push it back in and work it in and out. Even though that, you know, probably isn't getting all the way up in there, doing it every time, I think maybe some of it's getting down in there. And, you know, we've yanked these handles several times a week for the last 1.5 years, and so far so good. This is how we dump the black tanks. You know, there's multiple ways, and honestly, there's no real set pattern that I use. But I do start with pulling the black handle.
That's kind of gross.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see that.
The black water right now is dumping. And what I will do is I will let that get till the flow starts to lessen a little bit. And then I'm going to hook up a line to flush the black tank. And then I will usually just kind of let this run and flush out. I'll set a timer on my phone for like 10 minutes. I'll go do other stuff because this is usually happening on our T24 day, which is the day before departure, getting all the stuff flushed out. But it's the same if you have to do it in the middle of your stay. Be sure to check out our blog post that has our breakdown and setup checklist and our video also. My process is I will let that flush for a while, and then what I'll do is I'll leave the flush running and I'll close the black tank, and then I will set a timer for 5 minutes. It's very important. Do not leave this thing running for more than about 5 minutes. You'll get a feel for depending on how big your tank is, but obviously, if you just leave it running, it's going to fill your black tank up, it's going to overflow your back tank, and bad stuff's going to happen. A lot of people recommend not leaving your flush running with the tank closed. I like to let the tank fill up with some clean water and then flush it, and then I fill it up again, and then I flush it. I go through a couple of cycles of partially filling and flushing and then rinsing, and I like to get it to where I don't see any bad stuff coming through the pipe. And then once that's done, of course, you'll notice that I also use the valve here. It just makes it simple to be able to turn it off and on. But it's pretty straightforward. Once it's all flushed out and you've got fresh water, doesn't look too bad coming through there, let it finish draining, shut everything off, and then you go inside and treat them. So for treating the black tanks, we use Happy Camper. Real easy. 1 scoop for a gallon. So I know from measuring that a gallon is right about here, and you want to sprinkle mix it in.
Try not to take deep breaths or you'll have a sneezing attack.
Yeah, so right there's about a gallon. And I'm going to put 2 more gallons in there. I'm going to do the same thing to the rear black tank. Always do this right after you dump, because otherwise you might forget. After your black tank's done, it's time for the gray tanks. I will usually dump gray tank 2 first because it's got the most stuff in it for food on dishes and stuff like that. And so I'll dump gray 2. And then after gray 2 is done dumping, there's no flushing of the gray tanks unless you want to fill from maybe the sinks. Do that every now and then if it starts getting smelly. A quick little tip too, when you're getting ready to disconnect your flush hose, is obviously turn it off first. When you're ready to disconnect this flush hose, let your pressure out on this end down here. That way when you disconnect it on this end, there's no pressure in the line. If I didn't do it that way, a whole bunch of water would come out here and fill up this area and make a mess.
Yeah.
Also, you want to make sure that you use a different hose for your black tank flush than you do for your freshwater. A lot of people will have a separate colored hose. We just have the same hoses we use. I just know which ones are which. Dumping the rear black tank is no different than dumping the front. The only difference is I don't have a gray tank to flush this out. So we try not to put as many number 2s in the number 2 tank as we do number 1s in the number 2 tank.
Who does number 2 work for?
That's right, buddy. You show that turd who's boss.
Because there's no gray tank to flush it out. But I use the same method of using the flush system to obviously flush it out, fill it up, flush it out, fill it up, flush it out. And again, until I get nice clear water coming through here and I know that most of the dirty bits are gone.
Dirty bits.
You always want to walk the hose up to the dump. That way anything that's still left in the hose gets moved out. Now that I'm done touching the poop hoses, I don't need the gloves for the other part. One thing I forgot to mention as far as options when you're talking about your waste hoses is a macerator. You'll see that mentioned sometimes. If you ever see an RV that has a tiny little hose like this, they probably have a macerator, which is really just like a little...
Saturday. Busy.
A macerator is basically a like food processor for your waste hose. It just chops it up and stuff. You'll see those in a lot of higher end Class A's.
Yeah, and I have a tip. As far as cleaning your toilets, I'm only going to use like toilet bowl cleaner that goes down into the drain on the days that we're leaving.
You want to clean your toilet right before you're going to dump. That way all the chemicals that go in will go right back out.
Right. And in between, I use disinfectant and wipe them down because, again, they're different style toilets than what you're used to at home. So you can, wear gloves and wipe them down.
Another tip, too, is replace that crappy toilet seat that came with your RV with a better toilet seat.
Yeah, we have an awesome one.
Yeah, we replaced both of ours. They pop right off.
So you can clean the whole thing, take the lid off. And
they're soft close, so you can just knock it and it just goes.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks so much for watching. Keep watching because there's some outtakes coming up.
We mess up sometimes.
Sometimes.
Be sure to check out our website, changinglanesrv.com. That will have all of our content, including blog posts, so you don't miss anything. Be sure to subscribe there, subscribe down here.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. I'm so sorry for how many times we had to say the word poop today, but it is what it is. That's what the topic really was all about today, so there's no avoiding it. I hope we didn't offend you guys.
And if we did, too freaking bad.
Everybody poops.
Be sure to comment below if you have any questions. We try to answer everything. And that's it. See you in the next one.
Roll the bloopers. It's whiteboard time again.
That's right. Oh, not yet.
Oh. It's almost whiteboard time.
There's the truck. Finished doing its truck stuff.
Yeah. Where's that truck?
It's over there at the Dairy Queen. There's a Dairy Queen right there.
Truckers need DQ too.
Singing skateboarders. That's a new one.
Yeah.
When you talk about you could throw a rock and hit something, I could literally throw a rock and hit Dairy Queen from the air.
You can't throw a rock quite that far, baby. I mean, you're a big, strong guy, but you can't.
We're going to try it later. There's lots of rocks right here. Be sure to... Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead. The end result is skid marks.
No, don't. No. No.
Like kneel before Zod. Our don't stink.
Okay.
Does this guy have to stand up and yell? He's like 200 yards away and yelling into his phone.
Yeah.
4 different tanks and 4 different valves and 2 different poop holes, poop water holes, poop waste water.
No.
Whatever.
Say it again.